Bonjour everyone and welcome back to season 2 of Farmers Corners FC. In this episode we are going to cover the third weekend of football in France, and it was definitely a busy one. 6 teams are still undefeated. PSG, who was playing without Messi for most likely the last time, is the only team with still a perfect record of 3 wins in 3 games with a 4-2 win against Brest. 10 games, 29 goals, 4 red cards were given this weekend, 4 red cards so far, I'd say, because actually we didn't see 10 games. We saw 9 games and 3 quarters. And I'm sure all of you who are following Ligue 1 are aware now about what happened in Nice for the Nice-Marseille game, which was pretty shameful. And we'll spend a bit of time talking about the events at the Allianz Riviera. We'll start by this event so that we can put them to bed and we can actually talk about football. So let's get straight into it. Nice versus OM, the score was 1-0 when the game was interrupted, and the game was interrupted because of obviously what happened with the supporters. Shameful, really, but not something that's unfortunately new in France or in any stadiums. Being a Marseille fan, I can say that sometimes it does happen at the Velodrome that the supporters are doing things they shouldn't be doing. That said, I've never seen in recent times a pitch being invaded, and I think that's the main issue in that game. That the fans did go onto the pitch, did go onto that sacred square that are reserved for the players, and that fans have no business being in. The game itself, it promised to be an excellent game. You know, you have Christophe Galtier and George Sampaoli, which are two of the best coaches we have right now in Ligue, facing each other. A duel of tactics. A coach who likes possession versus a coach who's very good at game in transition and direct football. It had all the ingredients to be a successful end to a great footballing weekend. For the most part, it was a great game. It was a very entertaining first half. OM was dominating that first half mainly, but Nice was very dangerous in transition. I mean, that front four that they have right now, Dolberg, Gouiri, Boudaoui, and I'm forgetting one, and Kluivert, of course, Justin Kluivert, up front were very dangerous, very quick, very, very skillful. It looked like Galtier had studied Sampaoli's game properly, obviously, because Dolberg had that ability to always slot himself between the lines and create problems for the Marseille defense. A bit of a scare when Mandanda's trying to clear the ball and is deflected by Kluivert. A bit of a scare when a cross from Boudaoui is deflected by Luan Perez almost in his own goal. Poor Luan Perez, that would have been 3 out of 3, but a great save by Mandanda to supply that. And it's something that, pundits and OM fans have said for the first 2 games. We haven't seen the Mandanda that we know can be. We haven't seen the reflexes, the last second saves, and we've seen 3 in that first half against Nice. So it's good to see that Mandanda is slowly coming back to the level where we expect him to be. On the other side, Benitez was as good, if not better. That volley from Saint-Etienne Under that is stopping, another opportunity from Under as well, 1v1 that is able to deny, was some great goalkeeping skills. And I think altogether it was a very good game. It was a great duel of teams that don't play the same kind of football. I think Marseille, despite the fact that they were keeping the ball, they were playing handball, right, going from the left to the right, trying to get through that defense, but not being able to do it. And I think that's what's going to happen for as long as they play without a true number 9 when they play against those defense, like I said last week against Bordeaux or against Montpellier before. If the team against them is going to try and defend low, if you don't have a real number 9, it's hard to put the ball into the box. And that's what we see with Marseille. Obviously, they are looking forward to Milik coming back and being that number 9 that can be the goal scorer, but also the anchor that can help the team playing a little bit further up. Second half starts about the same way. Marseille has the very first attack, but on the very first counter-attack for Nice, the goal is scored by Dolberg and Lotomba on the right side, who came in to replace Attal, injured in the first half. Lotomba was having a day, Luis Enrique wasn't able to stop him, and Gay wasn't able to really quickly enough close down that left wing. So Lotomba had quite a few opportunities to take that wing and not being bothered. And when it wasn't Lotomba, it was Boudaoui. In that second half, Lotomba does get the wing, does sped past Gay. I was a bit surprised that Gay wasn't able to stop Lotomba on that one, but Lotomba runs all the way to the box, and then his cross was beautifully chested in by Dolberg right in front of Mandanda for the first goal of the game. And when we see that goal coming in, we sort of expect Marseille to be able to come back, but we also know Nice and we know Galtier and how he plays, and defensive solidity. He's the name of the game for Galtier. So we knew it was going to be really hard to see Nice getting any other result than a win for Marseille, and that looked like a trap being set up the perfect way by Galtier. They kept pushing, a couple of set pieces was all they could do, and neither Saliba nor Alvaro were able to head those one on target. And then, in the middle of Marseille having a moment and trying to push, the shameful events happened, and that's when the drama starts unfolding. It's a 75 minutes, and it's a corner kick for Dimitri Payet that starts it all. What we see when we watch the game live, as I was, is Payet on the floor, and then quickly the replay comes in, and we see that Payet got a bottle thrown onto his neck by the fans. While he's on the floor, another bottle gets thrown at him, and we know that Payet can be hot-blooded, and so that's why he stands up, turns around, grabs the bottle, and then sends it back to the fans. By then, the fans are angry. A few more stuff is thrown, but Dante, the defender from Nice, has run towards Payet to calm him down. A couple of other players have run towards the corner to calm down the fans, and it looked like it sort of is going to be what it is. But then all of a sudden, you see Alvaro and Guendouzi, the two Marseille players, running throughout towards the fans and sort of doing gesture at them and invectiving them and somehow provoking them. Which, it's not the best thing to see from professional football players going to provoke people that are already stupid enough to throw things on the stadium. When that happened, a few more things are thrown. A couple of fans, unfortunately, make it to the stadium, which is unacceptable. One of them is seen trying to hit Payet and Gerson and a player from Nice, I think it's Boudaoui, are trying to push him away so that he doesn't kick him, really, which would have been pretty terrible. Unfortunately, just in the middle of that, we can see Sampaoli's assistant coach coming in and punching a fan. That's the image that you see everywhere on the internet right now, and knocking him down straight away on one punch. And then I think from there, some fans see it, some Nice people see it, some security people see it, and the attention sort of shift away for a second from the fans, and dozens of them start going into the stadium, and now it's an unsafe space. And now the players, there's an image with Alvaro in front of 20 Nice fans. Now the players are in danger, and now from what we see from all accounts, some Marseille players are attacked. Guendouzi and Luan Perez have put images on social media where they have scratches on their neck. Nothing life-threatening, but definitely psychologically probably marking. It's a game that's always heated. Nice and Marseille, it's a derby from the south of France. It's a game that there's that rivalry between those two clubs, because half of the people in Nice actually support Marseille, but Nice is a very proud city with a very proud people. So the people that are actually in Nice for Nice just hate Marseille because they hate the aura that a club has the past that Marseille has is still, I guess, so loved around France. So there's always that rivalry coming in. The way the game started, we could see from the beginning the Nice fans throwing things at the Marseille players, at the Marseille staff. We saw it during the warm-up. We saw it at every single corner kick in the first half. I mean, Mandanda had probably about 50 bottles behind his goals at one point. You could see him always clearing whatever was thrown at him. It was the whole game. Every time Payet and Saint-Etienne were taking a corner kick, they were getting stuff thrown at them. So what surprised me first is we've seen it in Montpellier the week before when projectiles were thrown on the stadium. The referee saw it, put his whistle, just stopped the game for 10 minutes. Everyone goes in the locker room, let's calm down, let's stop playing for a second, let's make sure that the people in the stadium hear that it's not okay, and then if they keep doing it, then maybe we can stop the match. The referee doesn't do that this time for reasons that I ignore, and decide to not stop the game, although the amount of projectiles that makes it to the stadium is pretty, like, it's pretty consequent. It's probably about 20 or 30 things that we see coming on the stadium every time there's a corner kick or every time the ball is behind Mandanda. But anyway, he decided to not stop it. Then, you know, that water bottle that hits Payet's neck, and Payet sending it back after the second water bottle is sent, which again is not something you can excuse. You can maybe understand it. Maybe all of us in that situation would have done the same thing, but you're a professional player, you're in a stadium, you see from where you are that the level of security is not adequate. I think you want a professional player to react differently, although I can understand that it's his reaction. You would have loved a different reaction, I guess. You would have loved, ignoring them, walking toward the locker room, saying, look, it's over, I don't want to play in this condition, seeing the game being interrupted for 10 minutes, and then it's over. Instead of that, you've seen Payet sending the ball back, and then Alvaro and Guendouzi running towards the fans, which the fans are the one that are guilty to start with. Leave the guilt with them. Don't add to the fire. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be pointed as it's your fault if all those things happen, because up until that, nothing was your fault. Everything was because of the fans not being smart enough right when they took part of it. Then now we can say, well, the fans were wrong, but the football players on the pitch probably weren't exempt of all regards. Anyway, all this happens. The players now are sent into the locker room. The referee finally says, okay, we stop. We all go into the locker room. An hour and a half of negotiations follows. And now that we have all the information, a bit over 24 hours later, we know sort of exactly what happened. The referee wants to stop the game. The Marseille players obviously want to stop the game as well because they've been attacked, and I don't think anybody would want to go back on there. Obviously Nice would like to finish the game. There's 50 minutes left to play at that time, and they're up 1-0, so they want to finish that game. For some reason, not at any point is it suggested that these stands should be emptied and then we can start the game again. Not once. What happened, again, now 24 hours later, we know exactly what happened, is the referee said he wanted to stop the game. He had a chat with the president and with the coach saying we should end it here because there was pitch invasion. But for some reason, how do we say in English? Not the mayor, but the guy who's in charge of the department of Southeast, the guy who's in charge of the police of the Southeast department of that district, I guess, said it's going to be an issue if you stop the game now because everyone's going to go out of the stadium at once, and there might be now we might look at public disorder, and we don't want to get there. So by the chief of security for the region saying this, anybody in the stadium has to follow that directive. So the referee needs to change his mind and say, yes, we're going to play the end of the game. The president have to accept that decision because the politician in charge of this area of the of France, Nice and everywhere around, said, we need to finish that game. I'm making the call. It's going to be safe from now on. And he makes that call, which is the worst call you can make. When he makes that call, the football, the LFP, the French Football Professional League, follows and says, look, he says that we're going to do it. The referee then has to follow, and then the players technically have to follow as well. What happened when that is announced is the Nice player go back on the field and start warming up. The Marseille players don't go back on the field. Longoria make it known, Longoria, the president of Marseille, make it known that Marseille will not resume the game. It's the 70th minute back on. At the time, it's I think it's 11:30 or 11:45. So the game started at 8:45. So we're 3 hours after the game started to start with. And the Nice players are on. They play a fake corner kick. The referee says, look, there's no Marseille players on there. So a forfeit is announced for Marseille, basically because they decided to not come back when the decision was made. Now the real fun starts, I guess. because the game is given won by Nice as far as that decision and that whole procedure. And the problem is with that being done, Marseille put themselves in a situation where they can lose the 3 points because they didn't come back up onto the stadium. That's the right call, in my opinion, not to go back up onto the stadium, because what happened? What happened if, 3 minutes in, everyone's back on, Payet, nutmegs the player and score an amazing goal? What's going to happen? Whatever he does, whether he celebrates or not, the public will be infuriated, and then something else can happen. What happens if there's a penalty that's not a penalty that actually end up happening, and then it makes a big deal? What happens if a ball is shot towards the supporters, like Alvaro shot a ball right into the supporters, which should have never had done? But what happens if another ball goes and hit a fan, and things go wrong? So many things could have gone wrong, and for some reason they still decided to start that game again. What's going to happen now is Nice and Marseille presidents and staff are going to be meeting on Wednesday with the disciplinary commission of French football to discuss the events and to discuss what are the next thing to do, and to discuss also the sanctions. Are the 3 points staying with Lille or with Nice, excuse me, or are they voided? Are we going to redo the whole game, or are we going to replay just the last 50 minutes of the game somewhere else? All this is going to be taken into account, and a decision is going to be made, maybe not on Wednesday, but at least everyone's going to be heard. And then from there, we'll see. In the meantime, we had Longoria coming in publicly condemning what happened and saying that his players had been attacked, and that was a shame, and that because of that, they wouldn't play. We had, just after the game, the president of Nice, Riviera, for some reason saying that, almost saying that it was not the fans' fault, but it was all the players' fault, and forgetting in the emotion of the after game, forgetting to say, hey, we're sorry that our fans did this and it's our fault about the security. But the Marseille player shouldn't have done that. He just went on to shift the blame on Marseille. A day after, when he went onto the radio, he said, of course we condemn everything that happened. Of course we don't want this to happen. Of course we're going to take the necessary measures ourselves to make sure this doesn't happen again. But just after the game, this wasn't his speech, which was largely condemned, and I'm assuming that also contributing to him changing a little bit what he said the day after. Nice, in the meantime, has announced that same préfet, it's called, the guy who's in charge of the police and of the security matters for the whole of the region. The préfet announced that Nice will build a net in front of that stands, because there was no nets, a plastic wall as well, a see-through plexiglass wall. So there's more protection for the players, and that this particular stands would be closed for the next 4 home games. Clearly, it's an attempt to see, hey, we made that decision last night, but we knew exactly what was wrong, and we are going to fix it to make sure that when they go in front of the disciplinary commission, they can say, hey, we've done all those things already, so you shouldn't give us any more blame, so to say. I don't know what's going to be the issue of it, to be honest. We've seen very weird things coming from those disciplinary commissions. It depends on what the referee wrote on his report. From what has been reported this morning, the referee apparently talked about the fact that, yes, there was an object thrown multiple times at players. Yes, there was a pitch invasion, but there was also players who engaged in non-professional behaviors. There was Marseille staff engaging in unprofessional behavior. There were the Marseille fans who apparently were pretty unruly on the other side of the stadium as well. So all those things are on the report. It's going to be analyzed. It's going to be discussed. It's going to be debated. Both presidents are obviously going to defend their club and obviously going to try and get the best result possible for their club. I mean, Jean-Pierre Rivière, the president of Nice, said, the score doesn't matter. It's all about security right now. If he loses the 3 points, I think the score is going to matter. So we'll see what the decision is when it's made. It's definitely pretty shameful, pretty embarrassing for Ligue. It was a great game. There was some really good things happening. There would have been an amazing game to analyze tactically from the first to the 90th minute, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do that because of some hot-headed, not so smart fans who thought it was okay to throw things at players, and some hot-headed, not so smart player who tried to enter, and the retaliation brought scenes that we haven't seen in France in a very long time. I mean, as a matter of fact, the last time a pitch invasion happened was in 2017 in Bastia in Corsica when Lyon played over there, and the Bastia fans invaded the stadium. The referee made the decision to stop the game and wasn't overruled this time by a higher authority. And when that happened, then the game was lost to Bastia, won by Lyon, and Bastia actually had to play their home games away from Corsica for a foreseeable future. I think it was 3 or 4 games as a punishment. So let's see if it's going to be the same rule. It's a bit different now because the game did restart and Marseille did forfeit it. But that call was such a weird call, not coming from a footballing body as well, coming from the government and an administration body to supposedly try and put safety of the fans first, when you could have just evacuated the stadium one stand by one stand and still guarantee the safety of your fans. Very weird weekend, very bad end to a great weekend of football. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about football and put that behind us. Obviously, I'm going to keep updating the news about what's going on between Nice and Marseille and what the decision is on my Twitter account on Farmers Corners FC. But it was pretty shameful, and every 6 months something happened in France that we're not very proud of with football. Last week already, Montpellier, Marseille, 2 weeks ago, excuse me. Some projectile hit Angers in the face, and we saw that picture. Now this week it goes further. Hopefully they'll make an example out of that to make sure that it doesn't happen again on any French football pitch. All right, the rest of the games for the weekend. The weekend started well for Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain winning 4-2 in Brest. Paris Saint-Germain, who had scored 4 goals again a week after their other 4-2 win. 75% possession for Paris Saint-Germain, 16 shots, 8 on target. For Brest, 11 shots, 3 on target. The goal scorer, Herrera at the 23rd minute, Mbappé at the 36th, Gay at the 73rd, and Di Maria at the 90th for Paris. Honora at the 42nd, and Mounier at the 85th for Brest. Weeks go and look alike for Paris Saint-Germain. Again, they win by scoring a large number of goals, but again, they leak a few, and they are not reassured until the dying moments of the game when Di Maria scored that goal at the 90th minute that they are going to get the 3 points because they were under pressure by Brest up until then. Still without Messi, still without Sergio Ramos, still without Neymar. So it's definitely a team that is ramping up. It's a team that's, slowly is getting to where we expect them to be. On the bench, we could see Marquinhos, we could see Donnarumma, we could see Di Maria. So they are getting there. So we are about to see what Paris is really about very soon. They're probably going to be ready by the time they play the Classico against Marseille. On the pitch, they played a 4-4-2, and up front it was Mbappé and Icardi. Icardi, who got injured in the game and who's apparently going to miss a fair few amount of game with that bit of a weird injury at the end of the game on the goal from Mounier. On the other side, there's Zakarian lined up his usual side, not intending to play defensive by any mean. Fèvre, Honora, Cardona, and Mounier up front. So almost playing with four forwards against Paris Saint-Germain is pretty ballsy, and he almost worked out well. During that first half, though, we didn't see Brest actually attacking. We see Brest defending quite a lot, leaving the ball a lot to the visitors. Maybe somehow they thought they could make it to the halftime with a 0-0 scoreline and then could score after that. Unfortunately for them, Paris Saint-Germain, dominating, very hard to put off balance defensively with the right kind of intensity that we want to see from Paris Saint-Germain. It was good to see like half of those players aren't going to be in the starting lineup for the next few games, for the next few months, maybe. Yet they're giving a good account of themselves, and maybe they're telling Pochettino, you should consider me to play if Marquinhos is injured, or Ramos is injured, or Wijnaldum is injured, or Messi can't play. So it was good to see them playing the right way. Here and there, you could see, glimpse of what Brest can offer Honora's speed on the right side is pretty amazing. Fevre and his skill in the middle is also pretty interesting. I'm surprised he's still at Brest, actually. Romain Fevre, there was a lot of chat that he could leave the team during the summer mercato. There's still a week to go, but he hasn't moved. He's still in Brittany. PSG was eventually in the mood for their goals to come in. Maximum efficiency was the word. A volley from outside the box by Herrera is the first goal after a scramble. It looked like the ball was in reach of Marco Bizot, but the Dutch keeper somehow could only touch it and not stop it. A little bit later on, Mbappe's goal, it's another shot that's deflected, comes in perfectly in the run of Mbappe, who heads it in and is able to make it 2-0. Brest tried to answer and make it to answer with a beautiful sequence of football, a counter attack that comes from the left. The game changes and the ball gets onto Fevre, 25 meters away from the goal. Fevre sees behind him Honora making the run and decides to do a nice little back heel flick to just pass the ball perfectly in Honora's course, who just then won that 1v1 with Navas. It's probably the assist of the weekend and the assist of the weekend for sure, and maybe the assist of the year that Fevre gave us on that one. Navas next to that had his usual 2 or 3 crucial save that allow his team to stay in the game and to be able to win it. When the second half starts, Brest all of a sudden switched up and started attacking more and trying to put Paris Saint-Germain in danger. Unfortunately for them, Paris Saint-Germain was going to be the one scoring. Again, another crazy shot, Gay that we haven't seen scoring many times since he joined Paris Saint-Germain, with the ball 35 meters away from Bizot. Powerful strike that again looked like Bizot had time to move before diving. He doesn't, and the ball ends up right by the post. And it's 3-1 for Paris Saint-Germain, and now it's a bit harder for Brest to make it back. They do make it back to 3-2 with 5 minutes left to play with Mounier and a moment where the injury happens for Icardi, a counter-attack by Brest. Icardi, for some reason, tried to stop the ball, falls on his shoulder and gets injured. But that goal, unfortunately, wasn't enough for Brest, because even though they keep pushing, they can't make it to 3-3. Instead, a beautiful counter-attack for Paris Saint-Germain. Hakimi, lightning quick, combining with Di Maria, and then Di Maria, looks at Bizot, sees that he's away from his line, and decides to lob him beautifully from the edge of the box with the external of his left foot. If you have any doubt of how good Angel Di Maria is, just check that goal, and you'll understand why it's going to be such an important piece of the puzzle this season for Paris Saint-Germain. 3 of 3 for Paris Saint-Germain, comfortable, sitting onto the leader seat. Defensively could definitely be better, but there are some very good signs. Hakimi is definitely the kind of piece that was missing in Paris Saint-Germain last year. He runs everywhere. He's unstoppable. He really is trying to bring to Paris Saint-Germain what wasn't there last year, and he's doing it well. So he's going to be definitely one of the standouts. They're winning their games, as I said last week on the pod. Last year they were not winning those games. Now they're showing that even if they don't play the best football, they're here to score some points, and they're here to get the 3 points every time. And Messi is coming. The next game in Reims is said to be the game where Messi is going to play his first minutes under the blue and red jersey. And I feel like when Messi, Neymar, Mbappe are going to play, or maybe Mbappe is going to leave, but when Messi, Neymar are going to play, and Di Maria, it's just going to be almost impossible for any other team to get points against Paris Saint-Germain. So it looks like Brest had a shot. Who knows which team is going to be able to have a shot next, right? For Brest, it's their first loss of the season. They had a good little start without being amazing, but they have shown some good football. Now they've lost after 2 draws, and hopefully they can get their first win this weekend when they travel to Strasbourg. As I mentioned, Paris Saint-Germain in the meantime will be traveling to Reims in Champagne. The next game is Monaco against Lens, and Monaco who loses at home. Terrible start of the season for Niko Kovac and his boys. 2-0 win for Lens. The goal scorer Ganago at the 51st minute and Banza in the injury time at the 94th minute. 72% possession ball for Monaco. 9 shots, only 2 on target though. And for Lens, maximum efficiency, 4 shots, 2 on targets, 2 goals. Who would have thought before the season that Monaco was only going to get 1 point after 3 games? Who would have thought that they were not going to be able to find the back of the net more than once in the first 3 games when the firepower up front in the Principality. If you top it up, they're conceding a loss at home twice this week against Shakhtar and now against Lens. It's a very complicated start, and now they also have to try and get a miracle win in Ukraine to be able to get to the Champions League. Otherwise, they'll play Europa League, which is not a big deal per se, but the Champions League was an objective, and the reason why they would sort of fail early this season in Ligue 1 was, hey, but we qualify for Champions League, and now they might not even qualify for Champions League, unfortunately. On Saturday at home, they were playing against Lens, and we expected a response from Monaco after 2 games without a win, and Ben Yedder, the French international, the captain, was there to try and bring that. Unfortunately, he wasn't enough, and he wasn't able to bring Monaco back to the level we expect them to be at. Very little attempts on goal for Monaco. Very little show of the intent that we know. A lot of ball possession, but a lot of sterile ball possession. Not a lot of lines being broken. Mind you, Lens, in place, beautifully settled. The tactics of Frank Hayes work perfectly. The way to close the spaces, the way to close down on the ball carrier, the direct football when it comes to counter attack, the movement of the players. It was just done well. Clearly, he studied his subjects. Clearly, his team is coming together even more. I mean, they had a great season last year, Lens, and they just keep their run going. I think the only moment where Monaco seemed a bit dangerous was a shot from distance from Jean Lucas that was right at Jean-Louis Lec, the goalkeeper from Lens, and that's it. Besides that, we didn't see much. Boadou wasn't playing because supposedly he missed too many opportunities the last couple of games. Folland wasn't playing, and not much happens offensively for Monaco all of a sudden. The second half starts, and Lens, still in defensive mode. Now he's trying to see if they can make those counter attacks count, and that's what they do at the 55th minute. The Klose, I think, has the ball at the halfway through the pitch, turns around and sees Ganago free on the wing, just pass him the ball straight away. Ganago uses his power to resist Pavlovic, and then facing Nubel 1v1 in a narrow angle. Still takes his chance, and so much power in that shot that Nubel isn't able to stop it, and the ball does get in, which is a bit against the grain of the game because Monaco was dominating, but also Monaco wasn't creating any chances, so they left themselves open. And Pavlovic, who I sang praises of last week on this game, wasn't exempt of all regards. But the 1-0 for Lens, and then from there on, Monaco tried to push. They get a bit of a help from the referee because a red card is given to Doucouré at the 60th minute or so. And you think that Monaco is going to be able to make it, almost half an hour, 11 against 10. They kept pushing. Lens defended just too well for them. At the 84th minute, another red card is given, this time for Golovin, who made a professional tackle to try and stop a counter-attack. But unfortunately, the referee thought that tackle was a bit too dangerous and gave him a straight red, which maybe was a bit severe, but maybe it was a bit harsh, maybe it was to make up for the red card to Doucouré. Monaco keeps pushing, and unfortunately, in injury time, Caio Henrique, not sure what he tried to do, slipped on the ball, lost the ball. Frankowski by himself from the halfway line all the way to Nubel. And instead of trying to score, he saw Benza on his left and he just selflessly gave him the ball. And then Benza just have to tap it in the empty net. 2-0, great win for Lens. A bit of a disaster for Monaco, really, not being able to win this early on. Lens defensively was impressive. We've seen a player for, I think, the first or the second time playing in Ligue 1, Kevin Danso, the Austrian centre back for Lens, who used to play for Augsburg and had been on loan a couple of times the last 2 seasons. He really made an impression. At 1 meter 90, he's a giant in defense. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Lens, of course, because they're going to be a great team again. But Kevin Danso was really impressive during that game. Monaco is going to have another hard week in front of them. They're traveling to Ukraine to try and beat Shakhtar at home, which isn't easy for any team. I mean, Real Madrid lost there last year, and Monaco is no Real Madrid in early this season. And after that, another pretty tough game, I guess, when you're in Monaco's stance right now, in Troyes, in Champagne, facing another team who crucially needs wins. So it's going to be interesting to see how Monaco reacts as he stands. They are 19th on the table. Lens, who's still undefeated, will be hosting Lyon in the meantime next weekend. And you sort of would expect another win for Lens. So kudos to Franck Hayes for a great start of the season for his team. Next up, Saint-Etienne against Lille. 1-1 was the final score. The champions still hangover from their success. From the looks of it, Yilmaz scored first at the 38th minute, and Saïdou Sow, the young defender from Saint-Etienne, leveled at the 86th minute. Lille had the possession, 53%, a pretty even possession though. Saint-Etienne with 10 shots, 2 on target, and Lille with 8 shots, 6 on target. Much like Monaco, Lille is not having a great start. They're still after their first win of the season. They thought they had it at Geoffroy Guichard. Unfortunately, in the last 5 minutes, they had to concede that goal and give away those 3 points. Lille was much better, though. The first half saw Lille pressing high, playing the football that we know. Cheka and Andre in the midfield worked much better than Yazici and Andre last week. And Bamba, Wea, David, Yilmaz up front was pressing the right way, was working proactively to try and get into the right position. Unfortunately for them, Etienne Green, the Saint-Etienne goalkeeper, was in form. He stopped a couple of times. I think he stops David a couple of times. He stopped Yilmaz. Burak Yilmaz, who scored a great goal at the 30th minute. The ball comes to him, one control, one shot, left foot. Very, very quick, top left corner. Green touches it but can't stop it. And at that moment, you're thinking, maybe that's when it happened. Maybe that's when Lille gets their first win. For the anecdote, Burak Yilmaz, when it scored, ran and jumped into Jocelyn Gourvenec's arms to celebrate the goal, which is good to see because of all the chit chat that has happened this week when Galtier, the coach from Nice, said that Yilmaz had called him and said, "Hey, I want to work with you." So there was a lot of chat about maybe Yilmaz leaving Lille to go to Nice for this season. That little hug seems like it puts this to bed. Yilmaz will stay in Lille, will play the whole season, and will help Gourvenec and his men to get back to the form that they should be in. But besides that, back to the game. Lille slowly stepped down, unfortunately. A few opportunities again, but more in counter-attack, mainly by Jonathan David and Jonathan Bamba, but not able to score that goal that could have given them that comfortable advance. Jonathan David missed, like a few too many. You expect him to actually score at one point, and he wasn't able to. And Etienne Green was able to shine because Jonathan David was shooting at him, unfortunately. Speaking of goalkeeper who's shining on the other side for Lille, Ivo Gerbic, the new goalkeeper, freshly arrived from Atletico Madrid, was between the posts and also had a bit of work to do in the whole game. Able to do the saves when it mattered, able to keep the score the way it was. Unfortunately, 5 minutes left to play, a corner kick, Saïdou Sow way higher than anybody in the middle of the box, and a nice little header on the other side that Gerbic can't stop. And now it's 1-1, and now Lille is still looking for their first win. Tough start for Lille. You'd expected much more from the reigning champion, but I guess I guess they're having a hard time adjusting to what it means for other teams when the reigning champions does visit them. Next week, Les Dogs will host a team that's in form, Montpellier, but a team that is about to lose their striker. We'll come back to that. And Saint-Etienne, in the meantime, will visit their arch enemy, Marseille, at the Stade Vélodrome. Next up is Lyon versus Clermont. What a game. The most entertaining game of the weekend, most likely. 3-3, the goal scorer for Lyon, Dembélé with a brace, penalty at the 5th minute and a goal at the 21st minute. And then Paqueta scored just before halftime. And for Clermont, Diomande scored an own goal at the 12th minute. And Elbasan Rashani, a new recruit from Erzurumspor in Turkey, is a Kosovo international player who grew up in Norway. Rashani scored 2 goals at the 80th and the 91st minute to ruin Lyon's night at the Groupama Stadium. For Clermont's fan and for the neutrals, the game was amazing. For Lyon fan and Lyon player, probably not that good. Seeing that the 3 points slipped away in the dying minutes of the game, when they had a good game, they started the game perfectly. The intensity was there, the pressing was there. Peter Bosz must have been happy to see his team finally answering, finally doing the right things and showing that they're here to play and that they're here to try and win. The game starts real quick. I think Ligue will have recré eventually, but the game starts real quick. A first opportunity, Dembélé gets the ball back, gets fouled into the box, and now that's a penalty, and Dembélé doesn't hesitate and buries it in the back of the net. Unfortunately for Lyon, on Clermont's second opportunity, maybe the corner kick is headed in his own goal, by Diomande. So that lowers it again. And Clermont at that moment seemed to have a regain of energy, up front. Alevina, Dossou, Mohamed Bayo are playing well and are very good in transition, and they were trying to threaten Lyon as much as possible. Thankfully for Lyon, they made the most of it on the other side. A shot deflected, saved by Demas, but unfortunately goes back into the middle of the box, and the fastest to bounce is Dembélé again, who scores his second goal on the day, and that's his first 2 goals now, since November 2020, the last time that he scored with Lyon. He was loaned to Atletico Madrid the second part of last season. Comes the goal of the day, maybe the goal of the week, by Paqueta, who was able to play some beautiful 1-2s with Guimarães twice, with Aouar once, and then finds himself in front of Demas and open his left foot and put it on and celebrate with a nice little couple of jumps. 3-1 at halftime, you're thinking, it's a comfortable 2-goal lead for Lyon. What can happen? They're going to defend well. But Clermont had other ideas. They tried to attack as early as the beginning of the second half, but Lyon seemed in control. Lyon seemed that they were going to get their first win until the 80th minute. First opportunity for Rashani, who scored his first goal into his new colors after resisting both Da Silva and Anthony Lopez. It looks like they're a bit guilty on that one, because Rashani doesn't seem like it was well balanced and that he was able to score yet. Buries it in the back of the net, and then 91st minute on a corner kick and a header by Rashani, who was not the tallest player on the field, makes it 3-3. Lyon hasn't had a start of the season without a win in their first 3 games since the season 2000-2001. So it's been 21 years since Lyon had that bad of a start, and you gotta hope that they're going to bounce back. Mind you, they're doing what it takes. They've just recruited Xherdan Shaqiri, so it's they're doing what they need to do to be able to get that team to be at a better level than what they are right now. Clermont, in the meantime, still unbeaten in Ligue 1, still only 2 points behind Paris Saint-Germain, nicely settled on their third or second place, depending on the goal difference. They showed, once again, even though they were down 3-1, they showed their ability to attack and to play attractive football. And they showed that there might be the loss of this season. There might be the promoted squad who's going to be able to fight until the end for European spot. Let's see, but it's a good surprise early this season to see how Clermont plays. under Gastien, their coach. Next week, Clermont will host Metz, and Lyon will travel to the Atlantic to play against Nantes. All right, let's look at all the other games of the weekend without spending as much time on it. Montpellier won 3-1 against Lorient. 32 shots for Montpellier, 11 on target. Lorient with 5 shots, only 7 on target. 57% of the possession was for Montpellier, yet it was Lorient who scored first. But yeah, 32 shots for Montpellier definitely paints the picture. Lorient scored first with a bit of a fluky goal at the 21st minute. Enzo Lefebvre, whose great ball to fit, scoring a header is a bit more rare. The header was first saved by Dimitri Berthaud, but Berthaud sort of struggled with the ball and put it in his own net, and now it was 1-0 for Lorient, who then just tried to defend and make sure that they don't concede. Montpellier tried to attack, but weren't able to make it before halftime. Then the second half starts, and a beautiful free kick by TJ Savnier from the edge of the box, top corner, magnifique. Impossible to stop for Nardi, unfortunately. Minutes later, another great opportunity for Montpellier. The ball's in the box. Delors tries a bicycle, an acrobatic volley. The ball goes straight on Mavididi, who's 1.5 meters away from the goals and who crucifies Nardi from point blank range, and then at the very end of the game, 10 minutes left, Henri Delors sealed the fate of that game with a header, and with maybe his last goal under the Montpellier shirt. He is heavily linked with the move to Nice this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. Surprised that he's leaving Montpellier, but it's been talked so much that Galtier wants him to come that I think it's definitely half of a done deal. So we're going to see Delors in his new colors this season, not with Montpellier anymore. The end of the game showed Lorient losing the plot a little bit. 2 red cards were given, one for Mendes, one for Hergo. It's a hard one for Lorient. You know, they weren't that bad, but without 2 starters the next game or couple of games, it's going to be even harder. And I know it's early the season, but last year Lorient had a terrible start of the season, and that cost them almost at the end. They had to have a pretty solid series in the end of the year to be able to stay in Ligue. So far, it looks like they're going towards the same kind of season. Those 2 teams are going to be traveling to the north this weekend. Montpellier is going to Lille, and Lorient is going to Lens. Next up, Bordeaux against Angers, the series of the 1-1s. 1-1, the first goal, Sekou Mara at the 10th minute, and Angers leveled at the 30th minute by Romain Thomas. 14 shots for Bordeaux, 5 on target, 54% possession, 6 shots for Angers, 3 on target, and Bordeaux, who finally seem to play some football under Petkovic, with Petkovic settling in a little bit more, with the recruits starting Pembele, who played so well last week against Marseille, was in the starting lineup, and so were the other recruits, Mangas and Mensah. 3-5-2, both sides for Bordeaux and Angers, but different 3-5-2. Against Marseille, Bordeaux looked like a 5-3-2. Right now, they look like a 3-5-2 or a 3-3-4. They were playing pretty offensively. It was Thomas Basic's last game for Bordeaux, and he played well in the midfield. He has joined Lazio Roma right now, so they're going to have to do without him. But it looks like they are prepared to play a little bit better, les Girondins. They attacked early. That goal from Sekou Mara looked a bit fluky as well. The shot from the outside of the box that didn't have nearly enough power to usually surprise Bernardoni, but Bernardoni was caught on his heels and not able to jump back. After that shot, Angers tried to push a little bit more. I mean, we know how good they are offensively with Fulgini, Cho, Tube, and they were able to score by a header from Thomas after a cross and a couple of headers. Thomas was able to head it in. Thomas played well during the game and helped Angers keeping the result the way it was. Bordeaux, though, had a lot of opportunities to be able to score. They just simply couldn't reach the target, and when he was on target, it was gift for Bernardoni. So it's still a little bit to fix in Bordeaux, and mainly offensively, and trying to find a striker who can actually score often. Angers still undefeated, 2 wins, one draw right now. So still a very good start of the season for Gérald Baticle. Still behind PSG at the table, of course. They're going to be hosting Rennes this weekend. Bordeaux, in the meantime, will travel to Nice, and hopefully this time things won't be as bad in Nice. Next game, Strasbourg versus Troyes, 1-1 as well. 61% possession for Strasbourg. 10 shots on target, 14 shots for Strasbourg, 4 on target, 10 shots for Troyes, only 6 on target. Tousgard, the first goal scorer for Strasbourg, and at the 19th minute, and Thomasson drew at the 77th. Two teams who hadn't won this season, who hadn't scored a point this season even before the game. The heroes would be the goalkeeper Matt Sells and Gauthier Gallon. During those games, Mama Balde and Johan Tousgard in the first 15 minutes thought they were going to score, but Matt Sells gave us a few amazing saves, reflex saves, that shows how good the Belgian goalkeeper can be if he's in form, and the reason why Strasbourg lost so few games at home in the past few years. The Tunisian forward was the one to score, though, Tousgard, for maybe his for sure his last game under the City Football Group club. He's being transferred to Tenerife in Spanish second tier. After that game, he scored a 1v1 that Sales couldn't do anything, but that woke up Strasbourg, who started pushing, who missed a few opportunities that you don't know how they missed them, by Gamero, by Ajorc. But Julien Esteban was playing with a very offensive team, and in the second half, seeing that he couldn't score, he ended up playing with 4 strikers and 1 number 10, which shows clearly his intent. The number 10 was Thomasson, and Thomasson was the one to score after a pretty ugly scramble, a pretty ugly scuffle in the middle of the box that saw Gallon saving his team twice, but not 3 times. Diallo at the end had another opportunity to bury the game. Unfortunately, Strasbourg showed that they could be clumsy offensively despite having 4 strikers, and the game staying 1-1. First point for both teams, as I said, but it feels like a loss, I think, for both teams given the context. Troyes unable to keep their lead, and Strasbourg unable to convert all their opportunity. Both teams will host fellow winless opponents this weekend. Monaco is traveling to Troyes, and Strasbourg will be facing Brest. Metz-Reims 1-1 as well. 59% possession for Metz, 10 shots, 4 on target. For Metz, 13 shots, 3 on targets. The goal scorer, Mounetzi for Reims, at the 7th minute, and Maïga at the 14th minute for Metz. That's the third and last 1-1 for the weekend at Stade Saint-Symphorien. Two teams, again, that haven't known victory before the weekend. Metz started the game on the front foot. Surprise on an early counter, though, with Mounetzi heading the ball in right in front of the defense. The answer came from Habib Maïga with a contender for the goal of the year, a shot from 35 meters, a missile that rocketed into the top right corner. Rajkovic couldn't do anything. After that, the game was basically Metz attacking and Reims trying to counter. And in a few of those moments, there was some tension on the stadium with some weird calls. 2 red cards were given, not to players, but to the coaches, Antonetti and Oscar Garcia, both sent in the stands. Reims at the end thought they had the goal winner with Kebal scoring, but the VAR intervened and saw a foul in the build-up play, leaving the game 2-1. Mainz will attempt to find their last year form again when they're traveling to Clermont this weekend. But for Reims, 3 draws under Oscar Garcia so far. It's going to be a tough one because they're going to face Messi in his first game against Paris Saint-Germain this weekend, a game that we're all looking forward to watch. But I think the Reims players are probably going to brace for Rennes against Nantes. Sorry about that little interruption. Rennes against Nantes, and a win for Rennes 1-0 in that derby. The goal scorer Terrier at the 58th minute. Genesio's men really dominated the game, created the best chances, but finding Alban Lafont in form on their way. 14 shots, 5 on target for Rennes, says it all. 63% possession. Only one shot of target for Nantes the whole time, but a shot that could have been a goal. Imran Louza, sorry. Ludovic Blas shooting from the edge of the box. The ball was deflected by Alfred Gomis onto Birger Merling, who almost scored an own goal, but the ball touched the crossbar, luckily for Rennes. Besides that, it was all Rennes attacking Flaviente with a shot from afar. A few attacks, but Lafont and Charles Traoré were here to stop Rennes, although they did everything they could to try and score. And that goal from Martin Terrier came at the 58th minute. Luckily for Rennes, that they can get their 3 points. Lafont, for once, wasn't able to save it, although it looked like it was in reach. But I guess that was the story of the weekend. Goalkeeper being good and then letting leaking goals that you thought they could stop. 1-0, it's a good kickoff of the season finally for Rennes after 2 draws. The unfortunate news for Rennes, though, is that the local newspapers are saying that Eduardo Camavinga will not be staying in Brittany this season, that it was his last game. We know Paris is on the cards, but who knows if he's going to go somewhere else. I mean, Genesio had made a point to leave Camavinga on the bench and only give him a few minutes until his future was sorted. This week will tell us what the issue is, but it looks like Camavinga is on his way out from the club that revealed him to the world. Next week, Nantes will be hosting Lyon and Rennes will travel to Angers. That's it for game week 3 of Ligue 1. And of course, there's going to be some news with Nice-Marseille being judged halfway through the week. Next week, we have Nantes against Lyon, Nice against Bordeaux, Marseille against Saint-Etienne, Troyes against Monaco, Angers against Rennes, Strasbourg against Brest, Lens against Lorient, Clermont against Metz, Lille against Montpellier, and the last game of the week will be Reims against Paris Saint-Germain and the debut of Leo Messi under his new colors. A few transfers are happening in Ligue 1, of course, right now. We've talked about Shaqiri joining Lyon, which is a big news for Olympique Lyonnais. It's everything they need, the strength, the power, the experience up front. But also Lirola finally back at the end of that soap opera between Marseille and Fiorentina. Lirola is back in Marseille. And there's a few rumors about Camavinga leaving, but also Mbappé may be leaving Paris Saint-Germain, which is a surprise, but we'll have to follow that very closely. And again, the updates will happen on my Twitter until the next podcast. Thank you for following. Thank you for being here and listening to Farmer Podcast week in, week out. I'm looking forward to seeing Messi starting in Ligue 1. Exciting times in French football. I'll tell you all about it next week. Thanks for being here today. Ciao. Bye-bye.